Anyone out there like solving like little puzzles or like little mysteries or something like that? Do you like just mystery novels or, I mean, who reads novels nowadays? Mystery movies, or who watch movies nowadays? Mystery shows, mystery TikToks, I don't know. But do you like mysterious stuff, and do you like solving puzzles? If so, I want you to do something for me. It should be pretty easy. For any of you internet sleuths out there, this will be very easy. Go into a search engine like Google or something like that, right? Go up at the very, very top at the address bar, right? I want you to type in www.cia.gov and hit enter. So that is the CIA website that you're looking at, okay? The actual real United States CIA, Central Intelligence Agency. Now, scroll all the way to the bottom of that screen. You should see several links at the bottom, right? There's a link on there that's called, it says Freedom of Information Act, and then in parentheses, it's FOIA. Click on that. So that will take you to a document repository, basically. Suppository? No, suppository is that thing that goes up your ass. Maybe this is in a way going up our asses, and you'll see why in a second. But anyway, this is basically just a giant document repository of all the documents that got released to the general public under the Freedom of Information Act. It's like the CIA had to pony up and just deliver all of their classified stuff from back in the day, right? I think they have some classified stuff right now that they're not allowed to release, but they released like decades and decades of, previously classified stuff. So there's a search bar where you can like find a document, a specific document, right? In that search bar that's provided there, I want you to type in the following words: analysis and assessment of the gateway process. Now hit enter. Depending on whether or not you put that phrase in quotes, if you didn't put it in quotes, it'll be the second result. And you can see the link. It says analysis and assessment of gateway process. Click on that link. On the next page, you should see an attachment. Click on that attachment and begin reading. But before you begin, I want you to realize what just happened. You went to the actual United States Central Intelligence Agency website. You went to their document like repository, and you searched for a document, and you pulled it up. This was not some kind of like hacker trickery where someone kind of came in and took control of your computer somehow and sent you to this like conspiracy theory like place or something. This is the actual CIA website that you just downloaded this document from. So why is it so weird that you downloaded this document? Well, it's because what this document is about. Let me explain. You could read the whole thing right now. Hit pause and read the whole thing. In fact, you really should. Read it after this or whatever if you want to get the full download and everything. But let me give you the cliff notes as to what this is and why it pertains to the CIA. Okay? So during the Cold War, the Russians and the United States were looking for any number of ways to spy on each other. Okay? I mean, they had all kinds of tactics, right? I mean, we had moles in both governments, that were secret operatives of the other government. That's well known and documented, all that fun stuff. That's the child's play stuff. Okay. Well, at one point they got kind of desperate, if you want to say that, and it's like, it's kind of like if you're working at a corporation or something like that, and your boss is like, "Hey, I want you to think outside the box to come up with something new here," right? Well, they found something new. They found a very, very bizarre way to spy on the Russians. And it involves basically psychic powers. And if you think that sounds absolutely bonkers crazy, well, I can tell you that the CIA did not think that was absolutely bonkers crazy. Okay? So during that time, when they were, searching for these methods, there was something called the Monroe Institute. It was a civilian organization. It's non-military, non-government, right? And it's basically an institute that was organized to explore the limits of human consciousness. Okay, it was founded by this guy named Robert Monroe, and this guy, I think he was in radio or something like that, a very successful like radio guy or something like that. Well, he had like a lot of problems sleeping, and he did a lot of research to like try to help him out like with sleeping. And by the way, this is a very, very smart guy. I forget how many degrees or whatever he had. Well, I'm actually looking at it right now, and he only had a BA from Ohio State University. So, but this was a smart guy. Okay, you'll see why in a little bit. So he's having trouble sleeping. He does a lot of research into this concept of what they call binaural beats. All right, so basically, one ear, you put on the headphones, right? And one ear has one tone going, and then the other ear has a different tone that's slightly off frequency from the other tone. And they're playing in both, one ear has one frequency, the other ear has the other. And inside of your brain, there's interference with those two, conflicting frequencies, and it creates a brainwave essentially that doesn't exist but only in your brain. And by the way, if this sounds like scientific mumbo jumbo, well, I can tell you that it's not. It actually works, and it's worked for thousands and thousands upon thousands and thousands of people. Maybe getting into millions, I don't know. But anyway, the result of this, right? I mean, it does help you with sleep, yes, but Robert Monroe found out that under the right circumstances, that he could actually astral project out of his body. Now, what does that mean? That means essentially using this technique, and he tweaked it, of course, to go deeper or whatever, because it wasn't really working for him at some point, and he was like, it's almost working. Let me tweak it some. And I think he threw in like meditation in there as well, and that seemed to be the kicker that sent him out of his body. And when I say out of his body, y'all, I'm saying his consciousness left his body, and he had an out-of-body experience where he could like see himself and then float around and all that fun stuff. And if you think that is, a bunch of spiritual mumbo jumbo, I can tell you that countless thousands have experienced that too, if not millions. And of course, over the history of the entire evolution of the human race, no doubt millions upon millions have experienced this. My own mother experienced this, y'all. She, people have out-of-body experiences when they almost die, or in some cases, people do die and come back. Very similar experiences to this astral projection via what they call the gateway process. And it just so happens that this exact same state of consciousness and the ability to leave one's body actually happens with, people who are very, very good at transcendental meditation. So take like a Buddhist monk or something like that. They can do this without the aid of any of those, frequencies in either of your ear, right? And now it takes years and years, like decades of practice, like daily practice on this, but they can do it too. Okay. So this Monroe Institute method, where they call it hemisync, where you hear one frequency in one ear and another in the other, and it creates the interference pattern in your brain. That's a shortcut. It's like cheating your way to get to astral projection. And by the way, the Monroe Institute, I mean, it's well documented. They have done countless experiments where they have someone go into this experience. They call it, the gateway experience, obviously. And the person that is under is able to leave their body and read something that has been written on the back of a chalkboard that the experimenters have written there, right? They have no knowledge of it, of course, beforehand. So, I mean, there's a lot of evidence that this is legit, like legit, not just people like making shit up. Okay. In fact, people took it so seriously that the friggin' CIA jumps in, they find out about it, and they're like, well, wait a second. If these mofos can see what's written on the back of a chalkboard, what if we can get these mofos to leave their bodies and go over to Russia? And it sounds crazy, y'all. Sounds absolutely crazy. They did it. Okay. What if we can get these people to leave their bodies and go spy on Russians? And that's what they did. And they did it for a long time. They're probably still doing it. And so this document that you've just downloaded, and you're seeing it with your own eyes right now, this is basically a report of, some guy, some military dude or something like that that's involved with the CIA. I don't know exactly the story there, but he was asked to basically put together a report of how all of this works. And he definitely put together a report. What you're going to read is like just mind twisting, like crazy. I mean, we're talking about quantum mechanics and, entanglement. The freaking guy explains entanglement in this paper, y'all. Like the very thing that quantum mechanics, experts can't explain themselves. This guy does it. Now, it would be damn near impossible to prove this guy's theory, but it's a freaking great theory. I'll tell you that. Like, it makes sense to me. Anyways, when you read it, you're going to be blown away. If you don't want to read it, I'll give you some highlights, like I said, the cliff notes. Okay. The takeaways for me from this paper are as follows. Okay, so number one, through this HemiSync, gateway process, if you achieve proper focus, your consciousness can leave your body, astral projection, and explore not only space but time as well. So you can explore anywhere over both space and time. Not only just space and time, but apparently other dimensions. Yes, you heard that. Other dimensions. Second takeaway. People who are able to astral project are instructed to, in this document, they are instructed to, quote, be intellectually prepared to react to possible encounters with intelligent, non-corporeal energy forms when space-time boundaries are exceeded. Unquote. That's point J on page 28, if you're following along. So yeah, y'all, basically what that says to me, it seems that people who are able to astral project encounter the exact same entities that people who trip heavily on psychedelics see. But not only that, it's the same entities that, these people that are really good at transcendental meditation see, or the people who have near-death experiences and out-of-body experiences as a result. We're all seeing the same stuff, y'all. And I know what some of you are thinking. You're thinking, well, okay, Andrew, well, that's all great and grand and everything, but that's the CIA, and that's 30 years ago. Like that's unattainable, right? Well, you're actually wrong. And y'all, you got to remember, it's the Monroe Institute that the CIA got all of this stuff from. The Gateway Experience is like a packaged product, if you will, in the Monroe Institute. You can buy it yourself. In fact, ever since this document had come to light in the public or whatever, when people discovered the CIA document and the Gateway Experience and stuff, people have been curious and they've gone and downloaded the audio training or whatever, and people are doing this, y'all. And they have, there's people on TikTok. I saw a video of someone who's like training themselves in this process, and they're kind of detailing their accounts of their training and stuff. And y'all, it's downright fascinating. You can do it yourself. In fact, I highly recommend you do it. Like, give it a shot. Let's explore. By all means, we should all be doing this. And if anyone from the Monroe Institute or HemiSync is listening to this show, I hope you realize the giant advertisement that I just gave you. Pony up some money. I've turned this into my life, and I'm making $0 from it. So pony up the dough. But yeah, y'all, the Gateway Experience. CIA, out of body. This is crazy stuff, man. Unbelievably, just unbelievable, crazy. It's mind blowing stuff, but it gets even crazier. Now, here's where I really go off the rails, y'all. So I think we can all agree that 2020 was just a mind fuck of a year. We had the wildfire. The wildfires in Australia were just the start. People were like, oh my gosh, like the whole of Australia is on fire. And for any of you Australians who may be listening, like God bless. I mean, that was crazy. So, you know, we had the Australian fires, and then we got the 1-2 punch of COVID, right? It was like, you know, COVID, pops up in China, and we're like, oh, that's crazy. You know, it's probably going to be just like SARS or bird flu or whatever. So it's not going to affect us. And then boom, like we're shut down, like a lot of crazy stuff. But here's something that you may not have remembered. That was another just little zinger in 2020. Now, some of you definitely picked up on it. But because, I mean, this was reported in the major media outlets, right? I mean, we're talking NBC News, ABC, CNN, you know, I'm sure Fox covered it. Forbes, I'm looking at a Forbes article right now. I mean, like all over the place, right? This is a legit news here. So in early December, the former space security chief for Israel came out and said that this is... I can barely even say what he said because it's so ridiculous sounding, y'all. That here's what he said. He said that a galactic federation exists.
Aliens exist, and President Trump knows about it. That's according to Israel's former space security chief. In an interview with an Israeli newspaper, he said the aliens have been...
I'm laughing because it sounds so freaking ridiculous. But you can go look up these articles, y'all. It's ABC News. ABC News, NBC, CNN, Forbes, all this. I'm sorry, it's so ridiculous that a galactic federation exists of aliens. Aliens, y'all.
Hi, Alison. Well, this is quite a story, and it comes from the man who headed Israel's space security program for nearly 30 years. Chaim Eshed is making the extraordinary claim that the United States and Israel have been in contact with a group of aliens for years, not immigrants, but extraterrestrials. He has called them the Galactic Federation of Aliens.
That have been in contact with America and our government apparatus and stuff and our presidents and all that stuff for a long time. And then they've been in contact with Israel too, you know, basically all the major world powers. There's a galactic federation of aliens that have... Sorry, now that I'm saying it, it's just so ridiculous. But y'all, it's not only the Israeli space security chief that has said this. It's also the former Canadian defense minister who has said this, right? So there's an interview with this guy on YouTube. And the reporter asks him basically like, hey, tell me about this Galactic Federation.
And it's been reported in a couple interviews that you've mentioned there's a federation of alien species.
And he starts to recount his, kind of unofficial meeting with a general.
Give me the general's telephone number and give him a heads up that I'll be calling.
Now, he doesn't say who the general is or whether or not he's in the Canadian Armed Forces or the U.S. Armed Forces, but he begins to spill the beans about like all the stuff about UFOs and aliens are true.
So I phoned him, and before I could even say hello, how are you, what's the weather like, he said every word is true and more. Those were his opening words. And he said that there have been face-to-face meetings between United States officials and visitors from other star systems, period. No equivocation.
Anyway, this guy's talking about what he knows about the Galactic Federation of Aliens, and he says clear as day that, guys, I sound crazy, right? I'm just saying what this guy's saying, okay? That there were face-to-face meetings with, the Galactic Federation of aliens. Like, I think he says aliens from different star systems or whatever, and our government. Now, admittedly, being a typical American living in 2021 here, I haven't done my requisite research on this. Like I've seen a couple videos, I've seen this video, right? And I've seen, a couple articles and then another long like NBC News video about it. But that's it. And essentially what I can ascertain from it is that there seems to be a friggin' Galactic Federation, and they are like wanting to bring us into the fold, but they don't think we're quite developmentally there yet in terms of our civilization and stuff like that. That's what I've ascertained from this. Okay, and guys, I know this sounds completely bonkers crazy. Feel free to research it some more, y'all. And I'm sure you're going to run across a lot of like crazy, weird conspiracy theories about this. I'm trying to stick to the main media sources on this one and say what you want to about all of the fake news and blah, blah, blah. Guys, we have to go off of what we have. Okay. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. Anyways, feel free to do your own research, but here's where, again, it gets crazy. Okay, so stick with me on this. I want you to go back to the friggin' CIA website. All right? Go to that same document repository and find that search bar again. And in quotes, I want you to type in the words handwritten, that's all one word, handwritten session notes. So, and that whole phrase should be in quotes, right? Double quotes. Hit enter or search or whatever. Okay, so what you're seeing here is basically a bunch of handwritten notes that were basically sessions of these remote viewers. They were trained in the gateway process to remote view and go spy on the Russians and other things. Okay, now and the and other things part is where we come in here. So what I want you to do is I want you to click on the ninth, like the number 9. The ninth session notes thing. Click on that link, go in, download the attached document or whatever, and open it up. Now, again, this is all handwritten stuff, right? In cursive. Some of it's a little hard to read, but I want you to scroll down, keep scrolling, scroll. You'll pass by some weird looking pictures, some trippy stuff. It looks like a light coming out of something, and then you'll see like some mountains and a lake. This is so ridiculous, y'all. I'm sorry. You'll see like a light shining down on a person that's laying on an altar. You keep going. You pass by like a bunch of paragraphs of handwritten notes, and then there's this one picture where this guy is laying on an altar, and these humanoid looking things are around him, and the one's stretching out their hand. Anyway, keep scrolling down all the way to the very bottom of the whole document. This seems to be, it says like remote viewing session data, all right? And this seems to be like kind of like the summary of everything. It's like if they were cataloging this stuff or whatever. It's like, hey, go to the remote viewer MR or whatever. So it's just basic kind of data, the cliff notes, if you will. If you look at the very, very bottom of that, where it says actual site, you see what that says there? Galactic Federation headquarters. Y'all, the date on the document here is the 13th of January, 1988. 1988, y'all. That's actually not that long ago, okay? Think about this. Someone at the CIA thought it was important enough to grab one of these remote viewers that have been studying the gateway process, that whole crazy document that you saw earlier. They used government resources, people, salaries and all this other stuff and all the infrastructure or whatever, like any of the budgeting and stuff that goes behind the time it takes to get one of these remote viewers and a supervisor and sit down and, lay them down on a couch and hook them up to the hemisync thing. And someone decided it was important enough to get a person and have them remote view into something called the Galactic Federation headquarters. Okay. Now, I'm sure there's some exceptions to this rule, y'all, but these are people that are highly educated. I mean, you can't just waltz into the CIA here, okay? These are people with college degrees, most likely master's degrees, most likely like lawyers or whatever, military service. I mean, these aren't like idiots here, okay? Someone really smart grabbed another person. I don't know if the remote viewers are necessarily smart, but let's assume that they are. Some really smart person grabbed another really smart person and said, hey, we're going to remote view into the Galactic Federation headquarters. Like, I cannot believe those words. Just it's so ridiculous, y'all. I feel like I'm in a hilarious slapstick movie or something, or that I've been dreaming my whole journey this far, and that I'm gonna wake up soon and it's gonna be a hilarious joke. Life is a joke, y'all. But back to my point here, y'all. So that someone found it very necessary to do this. This is about as weird as it gets. Are we in agreement here? And if you scroll through that document, y'all, if you read all the handwritten notes and stuff, it's creepy stuff, y'all. We're talking about this remote viewer is like descending down, from space into this like highly rugged mountain peak kind of terrain with a plateau, next to it, and then a big blue body of water, and then he goes into like some kind of hallway that looks strikingly like the Great Pyramid like chambers and stuff, and all those vaults and everything. Goes into like this vaulted room. There's an altar, and there's a whole like description of what he went through, he or she. They don't say if it's a he or she, but I mean, here's just a little excerpt here from it. At the end of this inclined corridor is a large room with a very high vaulted ceiling. There is a large polished stone platform in this room, like an altar. There are white-robed entities in a semicircle to one side. Their attention seems to be focused on the platform. The room is dimly lit. There is a feeling of something sacred, holy, almost religious about this place. This place seems familiar, as if I've been here before. Then he goes on. Climbed onto the altar and laid down. I was then illuminated by a brilliant shaft of white light from head to toe. The light was coming from overhead. A robed figure then moved from behind the group and stood next to me with a hand outstretched over my solar plexus. Broke away from the session with the feeling that I should have remembered something. Y'all, this is a government document from the friggin' CIA that you just went and downloaded yourself and you saw how to do it. This is not some hacker trick like I mentioned before. It's not a hacker trick. This is on the friggin' CIA website. Why aren't people talking about this? What the heck is going on here? Like, what the fuck? WTF. And just FYI, if you recall when you typed in handwritten session notes and hit enter to find, this document, there's like 2 pages of these this handwritten session notes, right? I mean, there's something like 30 or 40. I don't know how many session notes there are. I've looked through just about all of them, and there's some wild stuff. Okay. Crazy stuff. And like some of it, I mean, I'm not even going to tell you what's in them because it's going to start to, if I haven't already started kind of diminishing my credibility here by bringing in aliens and federations and stuff, then if I were to tell you what was in the other session notes, it would really destroy my credibility. So I'm not going to talk about it. Okay. Unless it's brought up on my next trip or something, which I'm actually going to try to get more info out of all this. But I encourage you, if you're inquisitive, go take a deep dive into those other handwritten session notes. It's out there, literally. So why am I bringing this all out to you? For a few reasons. And one of them I've already kind of touched on is that it seems that intelligent beings are encountered at high level of consciousness states. Okay. And what I mean by that is like a transcendental meditation, the hemisync method, like the gateway process, and psychedelics. They all achieve the same thing. They all achieve increased gamma in your brain. Okay. And if we remember back on my Realer Than Real episode, gamma is essentially chaotic brain waves. They're the highest energy brain waves, and highest energy means the most chaotic. And chaotic high energy brain waves are directly correlated to consciousness. So if you increase the gamma, you get more conscious and more lucid. If you decrease the gamma and things become more orderly to the point where now these brain waves are all going in unison, you lose consciousness. And that's what sleep is, or getting put under for like anesthesia. Okay. So all of these methods that I just told you about, they all hit the same end goal. Like it's increased gamma. And apparently with the whole astral projection stuff, it's like the highest gamma you can reach. Then you're leaving your freaking body. Okay. Now you leave your freaking body on ayahuasca and mushrooms and stuff like that too. I haven't gone that far yet. And that's the whole death thing that I've been so afraid of. It's going to happen at some point, and I'm hoping it happens. I use that word hope very, I don't know. I'm scared, y'all. I'm scared to die. And that's what happens when you apparently leave your body on ayahuasca and mushrooms. Okay. It's all like this kind of dying experience. Okay. So regardless, what I'm getting at here is that we encounter these beings in any one of these methods of getting to that high level of gamma state. All right. And these people who are astral projecting in these remote viewing sessions to go spy on the friggin' Galactic Federation headquarters, in their instruction manual, it tells them, be prepared to encounter intelligent non-corporal energy forms. Basically, hey, you're going to see some intelligent beings. Okay, I've seen them. Now they were what I call God or angels, right? I've seen something that had a humanoid, beautiful woman's face that was flowy and fluttery and amazing and very angelic, and then I saw what amounts to like a seraphim. For any of you biblical scholars out there, like a biblically accurate seraphim is a very complicated being that has like wings upon wings and eyeballs all over the place and like these weird geometric patterns within it. That's essentially what I saw on trip number 5, the answer, the most amazing trip yet, right? So I'm encountering these beings. So what about this Galactic Federation thing, right? What is my experience with that? Well, I can tell you that I don't have much experience with that, but I do have a little, and it's coming out in the next trip number 8. The trip number 8, y'all, is, gosh, it is so incredibly epic. It was like 5 or 6 solid hours of unbelievable revelation after unbelievable revelation. And when I say unbelievable, it's like I legit don't believe it. Okay. Galactic Federation? Are you hearing it? Galactic Federation, y'all. So this is the part of the podcast where I'm going to start losing a lot of people. This is where anyone who is religiously tuned in to this, it's like, hey, what you're saying matches up with Christianity quite a bit, all that other stuff. Get ready to get pissed off. Okay? Get ready to scorn me for life, and I'm never going to listen to another second of this podcast. This guy is full of shit. Okay? So if you feel that way, cool. I'm sorry. Right? I'm not assaulting your religion. Christianity is a beautiful thing. I pulled a lot of my stuff from Christianity. Most of my trips, the beautiful things about my trips have been very Christian in nature. And by the way, I am fully convinced that the people who were writing the Old Testament and maybe even the New Testament and stuff, I bet you they were doing some of this stuff, y'all. Like it all kind of ties together for me here. And if that if that insults your religion and you, I'm sorry, okay? I don't know what to tell you. I'm just telling you my experiences. And And by the way, my experiences are different than others. There are people who go on these psychedelic trips and they don't experience any of this stuff. Like instead of angels, they see, what was one person told me that they saw a mermaid. Or you hear a lot of people talk about these machine elves, right? They're like these robotic, but bionic robotic, kind of like futuristic little like jesters almost. And they have incredible knowledge and they share this incredible, wisdom with you and stuff. Very much like what the angels and God things that I've seen share wisdom with me. But the difference is I'm seeing God and angels, and they're seeing these little robot elves. Okay, Terrence McKenna is the one who came up with that phrase. By the way, he called them machine elves. All right, so it's I don't know what's going on, y'all. I don't know what's going on. I pretend I do. I have a lot of great theories, and I tie those to as best I can to scientific like facts, right? But ultimately, I can't account for why people see different stuff than I do. Now, the crazy thing is that there is a big chunk of people who see the exact same thing and have a lot of the exact same experiences as I do. So there is definitely a big correlation here. But I can't account for the outliers. You yourself listening to this, you probably have done psychedelics and you've seen something completely different. And you're listening to this whole time just like curious. Is like, oh, isn't that interesting that he thinks that this is what's really going on? Because what I saw, what was really going on was something completely different. And y'all, I can't account for that. I'm telling you what I see and what I've experienced. And I'm seeing stuff in the waking real light of day that is tying all of this together. And the whole synchronicity thing aside, like, there has been so much really, really crazy, trippy, unbelievable, synchronistic things that have been happening in my life where it's undeniable, and so many of them, and having such a deep meaning that it's freaking me out. In fact, I started seeing a therapist because at one point I thought I was going crazy. I've backed off of that because I now know that no, I'm not. Like this shit is real, and it's really happening. But I was, I even had like an emotional breakdown a few months ago. Like this stuff is no joke, y'all. It's not a game. All right. But anyways, what I'm trying to get at here is things have correlated so much in the real waking light of day that now stuff in the news that is related to a freaking galactic federation is popping up in my trips and in real life and all that. What the actual fuck? What the actual fuck? That's I guys. Okay. So this whole thing, I don't want this, and by the way, I don't want you to go into trip number 8 thinking that the whole thing is going to be about aliens and stuff, right? It's not. There's only a tiny chunk of it that is, y'all. Like I said, like I was just shown like a little bit of something and got a basic little kind of download of something, and then it was done with that, and we went on to another subject. In fact, I was scared to unpack that based on what I saw. I wanted to get away. I wanted to run away screaming from that subject matter. Okay. And I essentially did. So don't go into this thinking like that's what it's all about. This trip has so many more beautiful, unbelievable, amazing layers to it. I mean, guys, it's heartbreakingly beautiful, this trip. Unbelievable stuff. And there happens to be a little part in there that correlates to this stuff. And I'm sorry I just made a like 40-minute, how long is this damn thing now? Like episode talking about this stuff so that you can only hear like a little bit, but it needed to be said. I needed to warn you guys because we're going to really go into Cuckooville on this next trip. And I'm probably going to piss a lot of you off. But you know what? I refuse to hold back. If I held back on this stuff, y'all, I'm doing me, you, society, because I really do believe that this stuff there are no higher stakes here, y'all. There are no higher stakes. We're talking life and death, heaven and hell, salvation and damnation here. There is no greater mission in the universe. Okay? So if I held back on any of this stuff, I am doing us all a disservice, a major disservice, and shame on me. And I refuse to do that. So I'm going to come out guns a-blazing. Feel free to friggin' tear me apart in the comments or whatever. Leave a shit review. I don't care. Please leave me a good review, though. In fact, please review my stuff. I'm really trying to get this podcast off the ground and go on my YouTube channel too. All that fun stuff. I've started this Patreon thing, y'all. And I actually have a 2-hour-long episode, like for anyone who wants to go listen to it. That is stuff that was cut out of trip number 5, The Answer. And it's awesome stuff. It's really awesome stuff. It broke my heart that I had to cut it out. So it expands a lot more on trip number 4, The Death, and trip number 5, The Answer. A lot more deep stuff. So if you have some unanswered questions, I guarantee you I'm answering them on that. And I promise that anything that I release on the Patreon site is going to be like hard-hitting, juicy stuff like that too. I'm not going to just put some bullshit out there, right? I'm going to make sure that I treat every post that I put on there as if I was a Patreon, am I getting my money's worth? I'm going to make damn sure that that's the case. Okay? Anyways, there's really nothing for me else for me to say. I guess I could give you a little backstory as to why I decided to even do trip number 8. And the answer was very simple. I had mushrooms left over. So I was going to do this, once a year on my birthday thing for ayahuasca. But that's ayahuasca. Now, remember, that's a different kind of trip. And listen to me sounding like a damn drug addict here. It's like, well, this is my last cigarette, But it really is a different kind of trip. Like that, there's so much more intensity on an ayahuasca trip. You really should limit that to like once a year. If you're really going hard, like once every 6 months, okay? And, when you're getting started, of course, you want to ease your way into it and stuff. So I could see someone doing it like once every 2 weeks in the beginning stages so you could dial in your experience. But once you hit that first experience, y'all, you should really back that off. I know there's a lot of answers that you still want. So, maybe do it every 2 months for a little bit until you get get your checkbox checked of the answers that you wanted. And then you really need to back off to like twice a year. I would recommend once a year. And then if you still have some answers that you want, I would fill in that once a year gap with like a mushroom trip. Okay, you can still get some amazing information off of that. To me, I feel it's not as the stakes aren't as high. It's not as dangerous as a ayahuasca trip in some regards. Potentially dangerous, y'all. It sounds like I'm poo-pooing on ayahuasca all the time. Ayahuasca is the best and most amazing thing that has happened to my life, period. Exclamation point. But just know that the highs are way higher and the lows are way lower based on my experience. And anyways, I'm rambling. So that's why I did mushrooms, as I had some left over. And I thought to myself, well, honestly, I was just like, I'm just going to do them. And I did. And it's a wild, amazing, unbelievably, heartbreakingly beautiful. And when I say heartbreaking this time, I mean like, this is the first time that you'll hear me sobbing. Well, I think you heard me sobbing a little bit on trip 2, trip 2, The Light. This one, it's a full on like just waterworks show. There's two instances in particular where I can't tell you because I'm going to give it away, but it was the most heartbreaking. One of them was heartbreakingly beautiful. The other one was just heartbreaking. And yeah. And aliens. And the aliens part is kind of at the tail end, so you're going to have to wade through a lot of the other amazing stuff. So please don't go in there just expecting aliens and like friggin', like stormtroopers and laser guns and shit. We're dealing with a lot of real world stuff in that, for the most part. But anyway, I've been rambling. I think this is a great, introduction, albeit a 50-minute. Oh, sorry, 40. I just looked down and it was 45, by the way. 45 minutes. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's a long time here. I'm sorry. That's all I can tell you. I love you all. Please don't give up on me. I'm not going to give up on you. And just because you may not agree with like aliens or something like that, that does not mean that there isn't something you can still take away from my content and my experiences. I really do hope that if you do get super offended by any of this stuff, that you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Okay? There is a lot of amazing stuff in here that can help people and has helped me like a mofo. All right? So again, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. If you disagree with something, let's agree to disagree, and let's do so peacefully and harmoniously and amicably. And I love you still, even if you completely disagree and scorn me. Love you. Thank you all. I'll see you on the next trip.